Okay. Think volume's good. I think volume's pretty good right now. We should be in a good spot. Okay, so taking a look at how things went today. Um, Definitely overall in an interesting spot. IBM, we're up 1.37% on the day, which isn't too bad. And we did see some wins. I think IREN was leading pretty strong at the beginning of the day. Very good day for IREN, up nearly 20%. I believe they had recently announced some big deals for some of their cloud computing, which is pretty exciting news for them. And I think they may get a ratings bump here pretty soon. We'll have to see how things look, but definitely some exciting news for IREN on that front. Um, Pretty flat for some other companies though. So IREN was a big winner today. Exciting stuff from them. We look at something similar like CoreWeave. They were down 20 basis points today. So moving in the right direction, certainly for something like CoreWeave, a company like CoreWeave. And also, what was really interesting is we saw AMC up $2.46, or excuse me, up 52 cents per share today, up 26.8%. We may be back in meme stock territory with AMC. Pretty expensive stock at the moment, but pretty exciting what's going on. I just opened a short position on Intel. Interesting choice, Fricks. I actually agree with you. All right, thoughts on the Jersey Mike's pre-IPO? No thoughts yet, Ben. Haven't read the S1, but I will definitely be live streaming the Jersey Mike's IPO. I think that'll be a pretty exciting live stream. There'll be a lot of things to talk about on that front. Haven't really looked at their financials yet either. Heard they're okay, though. Heard they're okay. I'm going to light position on my Intel short. Well, as far as Intel's recent performance, it hasn't been good. Despite the fact that the day was a pretty good day for them. Over the last month, they have, had a pretty rough run at things, down from actually over $140 per share back last month in June. And since the beginning of this month, they've basically come down quite a bit from their $140 a month high. Intel right now is a company that it's going to take a long time for things to turn around for Intel. So we'll see. We'll see with Intel. I just got an invite to get into for the IPO, and I don't know what to do. Well, Ben, if you got an invite into Jersey Mike's IPO before you, and you're not sure what to do with it, then take a look at the financials and take a look at what the term sheet's offering you. Um, and and you may not be able to say that if, in fact, what you're saying is true, because of the fact that's probably material non-public information that um, the SEC would probably be interested in speaking with you if you mentioned it on this live stream. Is Micron a buy at the moment? Micron's in an interesting spot. My analysis indicates we probably saw Micron. We probably saw support for Micron after its trading session on Friday last week. As far as turning things around for the stock, it could potentially happen. We'll see though. What platform do you use for financial data? Right here, Amber, this is Yahoo Finance, and then I have another window open for Barron's to do high-level quick stuff. And then if you guys really want to get into the weeds, I've got Edgar pulled up to dig into SEC filings if you really want to. Good price on ISRG if it dips to 323.50. ISRG is definitely on my short watch list. I think it's a really interesting healthcare company. What they do is pretty fascinating in my opinion. As far as a target price for them, I don't have one in mind at the moment. Still got to do some more analysis on them. But if it goes below 350, it's an interesting spot to be. It kind of reminds me of when Microsoft was at 350 in some ways. So we'll see there. Can we check STDDL earnings news? Yeah, sure. Do we have a different ticker for them, or the Jones? Do we have a different? Which company is this? Because on Yahoo Finance here, I type in STDL right here, and we get this. So I don't know if this is the one you're going after. Thoughts on TSM, buy or not? We'll see. Probably a buy, to be honest. Probably a buy. That's just my gut, though. That's just what my gut's telling me. What do you think about ServiceNow? I've called ServiceNow a hold. My opinion on ServiceNow is that its fair value is somewhere around 90, like 88, anywhere from like $90 to $95 a share. It's close, sitting at 104. I wouldn't get in at this price at the moment, but if you hold stock in ServiceNow or have shares in ServiceNow, I'd certainly hang on to it at this price. Intuitive Surgery, what do we think of it long term? I think it's a really interesting play long term. This is my take on ISRG. ISRG, it's on my short watch list as far as healthcare companies are concerned. It's one of the more interesting companies that I've seen lately. I know they had kind of iffy guidance in their last quarterly earnings report. It looks like the fundamentals might be there. Really interesting company. Really cool what they're doing, to be honest. So, yeah. Steel Dynamics, they're supposed to release earnings news after hours. Interesting. I don't know why it didn't come up. I don't know why this ticker didn't come up as soon as I typed them in. They may be announcing at 4:30, so it might be a few more minutes before we find out. Q1, yeah, so those are just earnings calls right there. We'll see. We'll see on these guys. I haven't seen anything that would indicate, unless they unless you know they announced it at 4 o'clock. Robotic surgery will be big in 10 to 15 years. Well, ISRG would be perfectly in position for that. I mean, their Da Vinci system is amazing. Palantir, thoughts on Palantir? I think Palantir is expensive. Really impressive company. I think that it's their growth has been absolutely fantastic. Their valuation makes no sense to me, though. This is extremely rich valuation right here. So, what they're doing as well, I mean, their business development's certainly strong. Their whole system of, forward deploying engineers and putting Ontology into place in, for their customers directly, and whether, they use Gotham or whatever other kind of system. It's impressive. It's just very expensive. I mean, 150 times earnings is too much even for me. Olaf, what's going on? Howdy. Marvel Technologies. Marvel, yeah, how did Marvel do today? Marvel Technology. Yeah, pretty good day for Marvel. In my view, I think Marvel's a bit expensive. The company probably has, pretty high cost of capital, given the fact that it has a 2.2 beta. They had strong results. I would rather, to be honest, a company like Micron's more interesting to me than Marvel. Palantir's very unethical. Well, yeah, that's all. I mean, there's plenty of people who will say that. I'm not a fan of Palantir's leadership. Not really a fan of Alex Karp. It's hard to get a coherent thought out of the guy. He's a character, that's for sure. Nebius had a good day as well too. Nebius is expensive. The things that I like about Nebius is that it's somewhat insulated from all of the American hyperscalers with their capex. I mean, they're based in Europe. It's a European-based company. The valuation's very rich, but they're in better financial condition than some of their competitors. Not favorite, but thoughts on IonQ. I really did a lot of homework on Quantum over the weekend and today. For the most part, I think it's pretty early for Quantum. It's I was looking at filings for companies like Rigetti Computing. I did take a quick look at IonQ. It's very early. Finding long-term customers at scale for quantum computing at the moment is a challenge. I like Quantum as an idea. Certainly cool what they're doing. A lot of companies are poised to do extremely well off of it. But for a company like IonQ, a bit early in my opinion. I think it's too late to get in at Meta at 640. Maybe. Nebius is garbage, not going to lie. They're going to be gutted by in-house by Meta, Google, Amazon data centers, and compute. Honestly, I agree. The best friend of Mr. TS, I'm not even going to try pronouncing your name. I agree with you, though. In many ways, I agree. I think that the long-term moat for a company like Nebius, the long-term moat for a company like CoreWeave is not, it's getting eroded every day because they're competing with their customers in some way. And hyperscalers are going to outpace them. The unit economics for the compute power that these guys offer at the moment are a little bit better, but once once things like Hyperion and Louisiana are complete, and once all these data centers start getting online, and once these construction projects are done, I think these guys are not in a good spot. What do you like about JP? What do you think about JP Morgan? JP Morgan, JP Morgan is kind of like the Apple of financial services and banks. It's almost stock that you never. I'm a JP Morgan shareholder. I'm probably never going to sell my shares. IREN or Nebius? Oh geez. IREN, but I really don't like that choice, to be honest. ServiceNow thoughts? I think ServiceNow is a hold. Bro, Nebius is so much more than data center. Well, then I'd love to hear a well thought out bull thesis for Nebius. I'm certainly willing to listen to somebody's like well thought out opinion and well researched opinion on the company and why they're buying shares in it. Thoughts on Oracle? Oracle got downgraded. Their debt got downgraded from a triple B to triple B minus by S&P. Not good. So honestly, I'm not a fan of Oracle. They were my least favorite hyperscaler. I was like, yeah, okay, they're good, but the downgrade is not good. Not good. Evan Carpenter on YouTube says trim 40% of IREN at 41, 25% of ELF at 78.50, sell more at 85. Selling more ELF at 85. My target price for ELF is higher than that, Evan. To be honest, I think the company is worth slightly more than that. Their price to earnings ratio is extremely elevated. But their price to sales ratio isn't anything out of like, wow, ELF had an extremely good day. I didn't realize they had this good of a day. On Friday, they were somewhere around $72 a share. Well, there was a breakout, so my technical analysis on ELF might be incorrect, but for the right reason. My target price for ELF, and for anybody who cares, it's on YouTube, my YouTube channel, is $100 a share for this company. So yeah, I mean, I thought selling more to 85, Evan, I'd hang on to a little bit longer if I were in your shoes. Kratos Defense, what about Kratos? They're like barely profitable, right? I think it's KRTS or Kratos Defense, KTOS, my bad. Just a quick look at the Barron's. Yeah, I mean, these margins suck. This should be better. Balance sheet health doesn't look that bad, and it looks like they went through some new raising rounds for equity. I'm not sure what those financing inflows were for sure. If you're a big defense contractor like these guys, you should be better than a 1% margin. They're in a lot of stuff too, but honestly, it's not a huge fan of it, to be honest. SanDisk got this price. Yeah, how did SanDisk do today? I'd imagine they recovered. Yeah, up 2.6%, nearly $1,400 a share. This is an interesting spot. I mean, I don't think we're going to see those June highs for SanDisk anytime soon at like 2,500, 2,200, 22 to 2,500 a share. The fundamentals on SanDisk I'd have to take a deeper look at. This could be a decent entry point, though. It kind of does feel like, for Micron and SanDisk, honestly, it feels like it could be a decent entry point, potentially. Thank you, mustache guy. You're welcome. Did you invest in ELF? Not yet, Olaf. I did not. Not yet. I should have, though. Thoughts on Bloom Energy after the drop today? So here's the thing. People who talk about Bloom and people who are interested in Bloom Energy, the party's over, to be honest. Like, not to say that the business isn't, the business is done for, but this, like, are we getting back up to more, those $300 per share points above $250 a share anytime soon? No, I don't. I don't think so. I think the right time to get into Bloom Energy was probably around the beginning of the year, maybe at the end of the first quarter. But it's an interesting niche that they have. It's a cool business. The energy game obviously is important. I don't see things going back up above $200-300 a share anytime soon, though. You gonna buy more SanDisk? We'll see. There's a lot of things I'm considering at the moment. A lot of positions. Think Micron's going lower? I don't think so, actually. I think we probably found our support for Micron at about $800 a share. I mean, last week it was not a good week for memory and semis in general. So we'll see. Keel Infrastructure in the driving seat, 2.2 gigawatts secured power, 3 leases by the end of the summer. Michael, I'm going to have to take a closer look at Keel. People have been talking to me about Keel for a little bit. It's not, definitely not the most frequently mentioned name I've seen, but I can see why people like it. SanDisk going up or down, or you think? We could see support for SanDisk at the point. As far as how much it's going to go up by, how much it's going to go down by, I can't say within the immediate future off the top of my head. It's potentially a good entry point, though. I mean, these fundamentals aren't crazy. Like a 47 trailing 12-month PE, 48 trailing 12-month PE. That's not something that's absolutely insane. IREN, listen, with IREN, I think $40 a share is still too expensive for this stock. I said it last week when I was live streaming. My position on IREN is it could be interesting at around $30 per share or lower. I don't think it's going to reach that price, though. Nike's a piece of crap. Charts of murder. Yeah, how did Nike do today? Yeah, I mean, not great, not terrible. Past month has been all right, though. Still kind of finding its footing around the low 40s. I'm personally, mid to long term, I'm bullish on Nike. My target price for them is about $57 a share. Did you listen to the Netflix interview? No, all off, but I read the filing. That was ugly. Or I read the letter to shareholders. That was pretty ugly. Because when management, changes the goalposts like that, it's not good. I don't see how a company like Netflix, I mean, when you change the definition of what your key engagement metric is because it hasn't been working in the past, that's not a good sign. And I honestly, I was a fan of Netflix before their Q2 earnings at their price. Maybe not a question. Maybe not. Maybe it's like a, put it on the sidelines, wait and see. Would you recommend financial sector or healthcare for now in terms of rotation? In my view, it depends on what part of each sector you're talking about. Because for healthcare, you can talk about biotech startups, you can talk about pharmaceuticals, you can talk about insurance, you can talk about general healthcare. Whereas financials, you can talk, you can buy shares in an investment bank, you can go to wealth managers, you can go to asset managers like BlackRock. It depends on who you're talking about. Thoughts on Oracle? I'm actually really not that much of a fan of Oracle anymore. Their debt got downgraded, and they specifically cited the OpenAI RPO as a key risk factor. I mean, the fact that Oracle has $640 billion in performance backlog, or at least revenue backlog. Most of that's coming from OpenAI. It's I don't know. The interview is positive. If I'm not mistaken, they covered the metric there as well. I mean, the market didn't like it though. So yeah. Thoughts on VRT? Vertiv. Yeah, I've been asked about these guys a couple times. It's interesting. It feels a little bit expensive. It could be a good company. I mean, let me take a quick look at their base financials from an annual and quarterly perspective here on Barron's, because that also kind of helps. Yeah. So, I remember these guys. So it's not from a quarterly yes, actually, why? Okay, so for some reason, I'm only getting data through 2024. I don't love how it looks here. on Yahoo Finance, but from an annual perspective, margins seem okay. Balance sheet health is all right. To be honest, I haven't seen a super strong bullish case for Vertiv, but we'll see. I'd love to hear it, though. Anyone who wants to hear it. Or send it to me. I'd be interested. When do you think Oracle will go up again? Q4? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not interested in Oracle. They have a massive revenue backlog with OpenAI. That's like pretty risky. Their debt got downgraded. I'm not a huge fan of it. Not a huge fan of it. Is IBM fairly priced? That's a good question. This is a tough one. For now, yes. I do need to do more homework into IBM and figuring out if this is a good deep dive. It could be a good deep dive, but the thing is that IBM, I know that a lot of their valuation was riding on their progress in the quantum space, when most of what they make their money on is from services and like consulting stuff, this kind of thing. We'll see. It could be. Not a huge fan of it at the moment, though. Oracle equity on balance sheet just chips away quarter after quarter. There you go. What do we think about IREN? I think IREN's expensive. IREN's expensive. It's an interesting play going into the using renewable energy to provide compute from being basically a Canadian Bitcoin miner pivots into providing compute power using renewable resources. It's cool. They're probably going to get outscaled, and they're going to get outspent, and they're not going to be able to provide compute or tokens at a cheap enough price point such that the unit economics make sense for their customers. Now, I know that they recently signed some deals, and their ARR is something like $4 billion. It's good, and it still could be a good business. And it's a much better position than a company like CoreWeave, but I'm not a fan of it at this price. Do you think the fall of IBM was over-exaggerated? My gut tells me yes, Frank, but it definitely requires a bit more depth. I definitely have to dig into it as well. I got to dig into it. Everyone, please invest in Bitcoin. It's going up. Let's make it the next GameStop. Yeah. What stocks are you most excited about right now? Duke, I'm so my biggest high conviction plays at the moment. So my highest conviction position is I have multiple short positions in CoreWeave. This is by far my highest conviction investment at the moment. This is not a good business. It's worth much less than it's currently trading for. This is not a company that has good long-term prospects. Its moat's deteriorating. It's riddled with debt. It doesn't have a very good it's got a horrible capital structure relative to competition. This is not a good business. I'm short on this company. Another stock that I like at the moment is Take-Two Interactive. I'm bullish on this company. I think Take-Two is in position to do extremely well this fall. I'm really interested to see what their Q2 results look like. Really like Take-Two Interactive, and I'm also a fan of Reddit. Are you buying Mag 7 reveals its CapEx? Oh, are you buying Mag 7 before it reveals its CapEx? Google announces Wednesday. Anonymous, no, I wasn't planning on it. I might, now that you mention it, maybe. For Google. I know that I like Google more than some other hyperscalers, particularly Oracle, but, we'll see. Applied Digital, I'm not a fan of Applied Digital. They're losing money faster than they're making it. Their margins are getting worse over time, especially in today's market. They're like this. Here's just a basic look at Applied Digital's financials over the past couple of years. Revenue stagnating, margins getting worse, balance sheets getting what seems to be more bloated. They had to dilute their shareholders with an equity raise in 2025, and on a quarterly basis, it looks pretty similar. It's not great. I'm not a fan of Applied Digital. Don't have a target price in mind for them, but I'm not investing in this. No way. What about Nebius? Okay, so like the whole Iran Nebius CoreWeave situation, Nebius is in a better position than it is to some of its customers. It's got some geographical insulation from American hyperscalers, like I had mentioned. It's got a better capital structure. Its valuation, though, feels rich to me. We think about Marvel. Marvel, expensive. I'd honestly almost rather buy stock in Micron, to be honest. The current macro regime, would you focus on T-bills and short-term equities? It's a pretty broad question, Victor, but we'll probably see it. Yeah, it's a good question, but it's broad. So I always carry gold as a hedge, regardless. I carry it as a macro inflation hedge, all this kind of stuff. I don't think that we'll see interest rates spike through the roof. The next Fed meeting. We could see some movement in interest rates based on, CPI and PPI data that we end up seeing. But the problem is that it's a lot harder for a retail investor like myself to trade treasuries as opposed to stocks, and short-term equities is not. I mean, short-term equities, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. So I don't know if you fully answered your question, but do you like Ondas? Ondas, it's cool. I mean, the drone game is cool. I think what they're doing is fun. It feels a bit expensive, especially considering the fact that I haven't seen news that they've nailed down a big Pentagon contract. I'd like to see them do that first. What about SK pre-earnings? Maybe a momentum trade since earnings come out after CapEx guidance. It could be okay, but I think a lot of the focus that's going to be on SK's earnings is going to be what their future revenue is. I think that's where the real narrative is, and that's what people are really paying attention to. AMAT's still valid? Yeah, I still like Applied Materials. I'm still a shareholder in them. Tesla good to buy in their dip today? No, I don't like Tesla. I don't like automotives. I don't invest into companies that build cars. Historically speaking, there have been much better sectors to invest into. Not a fan of the massive cost structures that these guys have. Not a fan of their margins. I mean, just go look at Ford stock since, 1990. Hims and Hers, what's your opinion? Hims and Hers should be making money, but they're not. It's a little concerning. I'm kind of steering clear from that. Thoughts on AAOI? Their technology is pretty cool. Their line of business is pretty cool. As far as their valuation is concerned, it's not like it's a wait and see for me. It feels expensive relative to what their financial position is at the moment. What do you think of Bloom Energy? I have some CSP at 155. Think that's good. I think Bloom Energy, the gravy train's left the station. Not a huge fan of Bloom at this price. Victor says my current buys are VWR, VUSA, VM. Okay, cool. Nice. Thoughts on SanDisk for short term? SanDisk, I think we've seen support for SanDisk and Micron. Micron at around 800, SanDisk for around 14. Obviously it's going to require deeper technical analysis than that, but we're probably near the point where we could see this could be a decent entry point for SanDisk potentially. Thoughts on SoFi and Grab as well? SoFi it's cool. I think there are more things to be excited about. It feels a little expensive for its price. It's not bad. As far as Grab, I think Grab is more interesting because I heard some rumors that Uber might be trying to buy them. So that's kind of my thing at the moment. What's your buy today? Dash, nothing. I didn't buy anything today. Just kind of watched what went on, did some research, did some homework on some other plays I'm looking into, some deep dives, that kind of stuff. Didn't really have a ton of thoughts on how the market went today. I thought the biggest surprise to me was seeing the massive turnaround for IREN. And also, I was honestly expecting CoreWeave to do worse today, considering that Meta had announced it's going to be leasing out some compute space to Anthropic. Do you think of Natera? I need a ticker. Can you give me a ticker? And then AMC. This was pretty cool to see. I didn't see there was some. I glanced over a headline that something was going on with AMC. I'm not sure if anybody can shed some light on that, but this was also fun to see as well. Meta's just hedging. I mean, they're hedging, but they're still also scaling. So from the perspective of somebody who's extremely bearish on CoreWeave, that's still bad. Still bad. What percent of your portfolio is in ETF and what percent is in individual stocks? As far as ETFs are concerned, it's about like 30 to 40%. The stocks is the other, 50 to 60 or 60 to 70. Why am I bearish on CoreWeave? I'm bearish on CoreWeave because this is a company that's competing with its own customers. They have they're riddled with debt. They got like $25 billion in debt, half of which is floating rate. They're trying to pay it down, but it's not going well. Their interest expense in Q1 was just an abomination, and it's only going to get worse. They're losing money faster than they're making it. So they talk about their growth and how well that's going, that kind of stuff. Their costs are getting worse as revenue goes up. They have like 3 or 4 big customers. And those customers are building out their own compute capacity as well. It's not a good company. Got burned on AMC a number of years ago when they diluted me and will never own that company again. I heard you on that. IONQ, a little early for me, but it's cool what they're doing. The quantum space in general feels a little early for me. I was looking at Rigetti Computing, RGTI, earlier. Cool stuff, but man, these guys lose a lot of money. Really cool what they're doing. Like these guys, it's an interesting story that they have. They're full stack, full vertical integration. So they're also, manufacturing the wafers and chips that they use for their quantum sets. I think they now have like a 36-bit system. And the thing is like they sold 2 quantum computers to Montana State for something like $6 million. It's not great. They lose about $200 million a year. And a ton of their money goes to R&D. So it's a little early for quantum. There's definitely a lot of upside with this though. CoreWeave's product to me is taking on balance sheet risk for their customers with GPU depreciation. CoreWeave's product to me is taking on balance sheet risk for their customers for GPU depreciation. I don't see how that would make a bullish. I don't see how that would make them more investable though. Their quality of earnings is terrible. You buyer of IREN after today's news? Harris, no, I'm not. Not at the moment. Bearish on Keel and Credo as well. A couple people have asked me about Keel. I'd have to take a closer look at Keel's fundamentals. It's an interesting space, and I think what they're doing is cool. But, there's a lot that, they're not making money. Yeah, digital and energy infrastructure, high performance computing, AI. So data set, yeah. The other thing too is that the state of New York basically slammed the door on data centers, which is ironically where they're headquartered. It's I mean, it's sitting on a watch list. Am I going to get into it? It's a crowded space, probably not. When would you buy SpaceX again? I'd buy SpaceX if it was trading at like, how did SpaceX do, by the way, today? Heard it was another bad day. Let's see. God, it's taking forever. Aritzia is good. BlackBerry in 3 months. Aritzia is an interesting one. I did an analysis on Aritzia a while back. What would it take for me to buy IREN? Probably somewhere below $30 a share. Yeah, another rough day for SpaceX. I mean, I'd probably think about buying SpaceX at half this price. Do you think Hive is interesting? They're not taking on debt to expand. Anonymous, I don't, not familiar enough with them to give you a super clear answer on that. I have to probably look into them a little bit more. I would not trust IREN's financial reporting. Why not? What do you think of Jersey Mike's IPO? That's fun. That's fun. I'll live stream that 100%. That'll be a fun one to watch. I need to read their S1. Solid model though. Solid business, I bet. ASTS. ASTS. Yeah. The moat on this company sucks. Their competitive edge is weak at best, and I'm not optimistic about the long-term prospects of this company. Yeah, I mean, it's like they're losing money. They're standing in SpaceX's shadow. There's nothing that can prevent SpaceX from doing what these guys are doing. And I know, like, they've got basically higher bandwidth technology that they can put into orbit. That's not a secret sauce, though, in my view. And here's the thing, though. I'd also be very interested to learn from what people think who are bullish on this. I'd love to hear a really solid bull thesis on this company. Favorite stock right now, Anonymous. So what I'm bullish on Reddit and Take-Two Interactive. Those are two big ones. Elf Cosmetics as well. I like Elf Cosmetics. Did a deep dive on my YouTube channel that I posted on Friday last week on Elf Cosmetics. To value investors, the valuation may feel wonky with Elf, but I don't think it's entirely unjustified. Like their PE ratio is extremely high, but their price to sales ratio is kind of low. It's an interesting spot to be in. My target price for Elf is $100 a share. It's an interesting one. Quite bullish on ASTS. Well, so KC, tell me what you like. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. Like what makes you like this company? Why are you bullish on them? ASTS got their patent 5 years before SpaceX did and have much better tech. Okay. Asymmetric Bull says, can you look at CoreWeave? Go to my YouTube channel if you want my thoughts on CoreWeave. Long story short, though, it's complete dog poo. Not a fan of CoreWeave. It's worth less than half of what it currently is, and I have big short positions. ASTF will have their tech in space before SpaceX did. Yeah, but the thing is I mean, they're not making money though. Like as like their viability as a business depends on their long-term viability of any business depends on it making money. And it's like these margins aren't good. I'll definitely do more homework on them though. And I know you guys are limited to how much you can actually type in the chat, but you're welcome to like send me a DM, and I'd be happy to hear from people who think I'm wrong. Cause I love good faith debates like that about investments in companies. VRT, been asking a while. Yeah, I see you, Justin. Sorry. Vertiv. It's cool. It's expensive. There's things to like about Vertiv. It's on one of my watch lists. It feels a little bit expensive to me though. And I mean, they've got really thin margins. So it's a pass. I haven't done like a ton of homework on them though, but for me it's a pass. They're not making money yet, but they have deals with so many telecom companies. ASTS, sure. Let's see. They become profitable after sat number 45 in space, which is supposed to be early next year. Anything after that's pure profit. Okay. Yeah, I'll look into that if that's true. Margins are bad, improving heavily year over year. I mean, Justin, like, is it though? Oh, wait, this is where I'm getting bad info. Yeah, this is, I don't know why I'm getting bad info from Barron's on Vertiv. It makes no sense. Where? Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not insane. And it's not insane as far as that, like, it's something that I definitely need to look into more. It's a company that I need to do more homework on. The valuation feels a bit expensive at the moment for me, though. Rivian, love the cars. Would love to own one day. I don't invest into automotive companies. I'm bullish ACS because of being able to get signal anywhere in the world if successful. Can't write anymore. Okay. I mean, I'd love, yeah. So I guess the next step from there is to kind of compare what specific market they're targeting, and I'm sure a lot of you probably already know that, but why that's better or why that insulates them from Starlink. Why is SK Hynix going down every day? It's probably investors taking profits. There are other players about to. Vertiv does electric, LA Scope. There are other players about to take their scope. They've made mistakes with some data center clients. Interesting. Didn't know that. Didn't know that. Thoughts on Celsius? Celsius is cool. If I'm a shareholder in Celsius, I'm hanging on for sure, 100%. I think that the optimal outcome for a Celsius shareholder, or if I'm holding shares in Celsius, what I would like about it is if somebody bought them. That's why I would hold on to them. Other than that, it's expensive, but they definitely deserve a premium valuation. They have solid marketing, solid distribution. I don't know if I'd get in though, compared to everything else I'm looking at the moment. What do you think of the earnings now? Of the earnings of ServiceNow this week? Joran, do you know when they're announcing? ASTS is not a space stock; it's a telecommunications stock. Not wrong. I don't think that's wrong. Celsius P ratio is way high at 68. Yeah, that's why I'm probably not getting in, Mr. Be For Real. That's probably why I wouldn't. Would their Rockstar acquisition help or hurt them? That's my question. Tarek, now which company are we talking about? Which one? Waste Management? Jimmy, I like Waste Management. I'm actually bullish on them. Ondas is my smallest holding because I'm still doing my research into them. What's your opinion on it? I used to work in the defense space when I was active duty. Basically, my career in the Air Force was hiring defense contractors. That's what I did. And any 6'4" Papa, that was my AFSC. Anyone could go look that up. The hard thing for a company like Ondas is that the Pentagon has a very sticky memory. And when you take a new company like Ondas trying to sell drones, it's a very difficult barrier of entry for them to overcome. But if they can overcome it, that's a very good news. For Ondas, I'd love to see them nail down a cost plus fixed fee contract from the Pentagon. They're doing okay as far as I'm concerned. It's expensive, though. That's the problem. Celsius acquired Rockstar from Pepsi. Ah, got it. Okay. Got it. That could be an interesting one, actually, Trek. Now, that... That's actually a really interesting thought. What stocks are you looking at? Asymmetric bull. Anyone that anyone wants me to. But as far as ones that I like, as far as ones that I'm bullish on, I like. I'm a fan of Reddit. I'm a fan of Take-Two Interactive, like Waste Management, Nike. There's a couple others. I do deep dives on my YouTube channel as well, and anybody can go look at that if they want. Do you think AI stocks will go down more? Kevin, it depends on which ones you're talking about, because there's different, like when you say AI stocks, you can say Meta's an AI stock, and you can also say that Micron's an AI stock, and those two companies do completely different things. You can also say something like IREN's an AI stock. You can say something like Constellation Energy could be one. There's a lot of different ways to think about that. Opinion on CoreWeave, Ronan, I'm very bearish on CoreWeave. Don't like them at all. ALOY, RE Alloys. Is this this rings a bell. These guys, hang on, I need to expand this even more. This company's name does ring a bell. Operates as rare earth metals, permanent magnet company, produces rare earth metals, and neodymium, blah, 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 blah. Cool. So usually, like these types of rare earth metals, like samarium, that I know is in pretty high demand, these types of companies I would consider buying stock in. It's just like gold miners, copper miners, silver miners, those types of things I avoid. If there's no futures market for these commodities, then I would consider buying the stock in the business. And the reason why I say that is because with companies whose product is a commodity, like rare earth minerals and that kind of thing, I'd prefer just investing into the commodity directly as opposed to a company. To my knowledge, I don't know if there's a futures market for samarium, but it could be an interesting play. I'd have to take a look at their fundamentals, though. You're bearish on neoclouds? I'm bearish on bad neoclouds like CoreWeave. You don't like CoreWeave? Why don't you like CoreWeave? Their debt? I don't like the CoreWeave. Their debt is that's a problem, but it's not their biggest problem. And when I say not their, it's still a massive fucking problem. Their debt. I mean, when you're $25 billion in debt and most of it's floating rate, your interest expense is going through the roof. They're scaling horribly. Revenue's growing. Yeah, impressive revenue growth, but their loss is insane. GPU depreciation is also another thing that to be concerned about with CoreWeave. But the worst part about CoreWeave is they're competing with their customers. And they have like 4 good ones, and that's it. Their quality of earnings is complete crap. How come you're so bullish on Reddit? Not looked into them. Good question, Finance AI. The reason why I like Reddit is because they had really, really solid, fantastic year-over-year revenue growth for their advertising business, but they're also building a content licensing line of business as well. And what I like about Reddit is, and what I think, what the kind of thesis that I'm bullish on about Reddit is that I think companies will like their ad performance on Reddit more than something like a Meta platform, because Reddit as a social media site and as a site where you can go to interact with people, you can do it almost completely anonymously. That means interactions are more authentic and they're more engaging and they're more intentful on Reddit than somewhere like Instagram. So you're going to get more bang for your buck. And Reddit themselves say that like 40% of the conversations on Reddit are commercial in nature. Their DAUQ numbers are up. Things are looking good for Reddit. I like that. That's why I like them. And the content licensing thing, to basically sell their data to AI developers is a good way for them to make money. To, you know, basically that data is going to be used to train LLMs. And while it's still new, I think they can make a lot of money on it. Check IOVA, please. Iovance Biotherapeutics. So I got to admit, when it comes to like biotech plays from, you know, micro caps and small cap companies like this, my knowledge about this whole like line of business and how biotech plays become, or biotech company becomes, you know, a viable long-term business is pretty weak. I don't like, for example, they're like going to their profile and looking at what they actually do. When it comes to I don't even know how to pronounce that, for the treatment of melanoma, cervical small lung cancer, endometrial cancer, head and neck, like I need to understand all this stuff in order for me to be comfortable investing into the company. There's a lot of things I need to learn about this. How we doing? I'm doing good, Dalton. Thanks for asking, man. Thoughts on Applied Digital? I don't like how fast they're losing money, and I don't like how quickly they're losing money. It's kind of an issue, to be honest. Reddit's an interesting stock looked at from conversation. Yeah, I think it's an interesting company. It's a simple business too. That's another thing I like about Reddit. It's a simple business. And the more simple a business is, the better I think it is for investors. Do you rate people's portfolios? No, but I can if you want me to. As a biotech investor, it takes years to understand this stuff. I had a feeling it would. That's why, like, you know, I can look into a biotech play if I want to, or look at a pharmaceutical play that's, you know, in phase 3 clinical trials with the FDA. But having me like assign a probability of how successful their product or service is going to be is like, it's a shot in the dark. I'm not nearly knowledgeable enough about all that stuff to know. Is Tesla stock going to be okay? Mr. Avadi, I don't know, but I don't invest in Tesla. I don't invest in automotives. I mean, 3%, that's not... What's going on with Yahoo Finance? We are experiencing temporary issues. The market data on this page is delayed. Oh, great. Cool. Guess we'll just have to go to Barron's. I mean, down 3% in a day is like, you know, that's not great, but it's not terrible. Worse days have happened. Being an investor is not something that takes years to learn, bro. What, Juan, you completely misunderstood what I was talking about. I was talking about understanding the business of what some biotech companies do that develop certain therapies or drugs for something like small cell carcinoma or cervical cancer or a pharmaceutical play that's in phase 3 clinical trials with the FDA. Understanding how the product or service is made is something I like to be comfortable with before I buy stock in something. That could take years. It could, if you want to be really knowledgeable about that stuff. What do we think of Snapchat? I remember looking at Snapchat a while back on my channel here on TikTok. It's been a rough year. From my recollection is that Snapchat has had a pretty rough, like, 12 months. I don't know how the last quarter has been. I honestly haven't looked at Snapchat in a while. Yeah, it's been a rough year for Snapchat. Probably for a good reason. I mean, they haven't been making money for a while. Do you like any as a long and hold before earnings? Let me look at them really quick. Noble. To be honest, Dalton, I'd have to take a closer look. I can't say yes or no for sure. Thoughts on Walmart? I think Walmart, when you buy WMT, when you buy Walmart stock, it's probably a good idea, like, to just hold it forever. I treat companies like I would treat Walmart the same. I would give Walmart the same treatment as I would for something like Apple or JP Morgan. they're probably going to be around long after I'm gone. Thoughts on Primo Vans? Jimmy, I need a ticker. Can you check Nexans, please? Okay. Thoughts on Iren? I think Iren's expensive. Uh-oh. Yahoo Finance is pooping the bed. I think they're having issues. Forever asked about Nexans. Extremely expensive. How do the fundamentals look? Like narrow margins. It's probably got a decent moat, but like I know they're in the power business, right? It's pretty expensive for its price. Pretty expensive. It feels pretty expensive. Check Take-Two Interactive. Dark, go to my YouTube channel. I give a 30-minute deep dive on Take-Two Interactive. Think Oracle can turn it around? They need to figure out how they're going to, like this whole OpenAI thing, that the deal that they signed with OpenAI last year is starting to turn into a monkey on their back. They got to figure out how to turn the narrative around on that. So right now I'm avoiding Take-Two Oracle. Oracle's cooked. Long term, Mike, I don't think so, but we'll see. For now, I don't like it. Okay, nice. I'm 60% FTSE All World, 40% across Hims and Hers, Grab, SoFi, AMD, ASTS, and Ondas. So Finance AI, two questions for you. Well, only one, because we already talked about ASTS. Why do you like AMD over NVIDIA? Like, why would you buy stock in AMD as opposed to NVIDIA? That's one thing I want to know. That's because to me, from what I've seen, NVIDIA just seems like a better business. Mobility business, internationally connected air service and flights, on-demand flights. Surf Air Mobility was in Hawthorne. It's been around since 2011. It's a microcap trading at 73 cents a share. I'll pass. Hard pass. $7 billion cash balance, $4 billion target ARR for 2026, $14 billion market cap is expensive for Iren. Yeah, to be honest, yeah. PRMB, they own Poland Springs and Saratoga. Microcap. Yeah, that was a sorry. Probably, honestly, those two words can probably be used interchangeably in this case, but that was an honest slip of the tongue there. What do you think of IO and Q? Been seeing a lot on TikTok, not too sure. Stocks, Quantum is super cool right now. Fascinated with what's going on with Quantum. Feels early. There's just tons of R&D costs in Quantum at the moment. And like as far as large scale commercial viability, we'll get there, I think. I don't know how long it's going to take though. And for Iona and Q, they're carving their niche, which is cool, but it's going to take time in my view. So yes, but not yet. Do you rate Hims and Hers? Yeah, I want to know why Hims and Hers isn't making money. Thoughts on Now and Workday? I'd take ServiceNow all day over Workday. Workday just if for anybody who's used Workday, it's an absolute nightmare. And ServiceNow is close to fair valuation in my view. It's very close. I'd hold ServiceNow if I have shares in them. Thoughts on NEE? I mean, okay, yeah, NEE. NEE. NextEra Energy. Yeah, you Pablo or Dalton, you had said that their earnings are this week, right? Yeah. I'm going to keep a close eye on it. I mean, maybe we can stream their earnings. It could be a good play. It could be a pretty good play. I'm going to take a quick, I'm going to do a quick look at their broad fundamentals just to get an idea. Yeah. No, I mean, it hasn't been bad for them. Here's the one thing, though, that I'm a little concerned about is they're priced pretty lowly. And essentially, I mean, you can make the argument that they're mostly a utility, which is why they have low earnings. Their growth story is something I really want to learn more about. It seems like a reasonable price. It seems like the fundamentals are there. The growth story is what I want to know about these guys. Okay, Finance A said, I also prefer their CPU performance and their open technologies. Oh, got it. You still own both. My average price on AMD is $197. I had no favor over one or the other. Let me reply. Yeah, got it. I also prefer their CPU performance and open technologies. Okay. Yeah, no, fair. I just if I'm looking at AMD and Nvidia as two different investments to potentially make, I'm just making it. Nvidia seems like the clear winner in that case. But if you own both at one point in time, and maybe still do, I suppose depending on how far long ago that was, it could have made sense at the time. Nvidia is just a better company in my view. It seems a lot better, just from a quality of earnings, like their market share, all these kinds of things. Joe says, what were your thoughts on Surf? Joe, I had accidentally called it a micro crap instead of a micro cap, but probably doesn't matter which word I'd use in that case. I'm going to pass on them. RNMBY, Rheinmetall. Yeah. Matthias Rheinmetall. Probably one of the better, like top 3 defense contractor in Europe. Solid business for sure. You could make a very strong bull case for these guys just on it in a geopolitical sense. You could. As far as I have to look at their program cycles at the moment because I know they have several at the moment. They lost a deal, I believe, recently. Not to a competitor, but I think it was like a budget concern. There are things to definitely like about Rheinmetall. They have an incredible niche, a really good company. The valuation isn't insane. So, yeah. Henry says ServiceNow entry. Henry, I would get into ServiceNow if it was at like $90 a share. It's close. It's a little too expensive for me at the moment. The thing is, though, is that $90 target price does come from my own DCF model, and people can pick apart assumptions in that all day. So I don't think it's crazy if you want to get in at this price either. Microcrap. I thought you were talking about MicroStrategy. MSTR? Yeah, well, MSTR is this is a house of cards that's going to collapse. This is a farce of a business. When you make up your own non-GAAP financial metric to basically fool investors into buying stock or lending money to you, and the entire structure of the company, everything about the company rests on what the price of Bitcoin is. Good luck. Target price for Nvidia. I don't have a target price for Nvidia at the moment. We'll see though. Gonna pop off now, mate. Appreciate your time. Thanks, Finance AI. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. And send me, if you're still here, send me your full bull thesis on ASTS. I want to know it. I'm not a believer, but maybe I could be one. I mean, MSTR has survived many years, including a bear market. And then 3 comments later when someone says, when I say Ponzi, you say scheme. Yeah. Here's the thing. they've survived a bear market because of essentially the equity valuations that they let their investors purchase stock of the company at relative to what the price of Bitcoin was. They have claimed, I remember reading an article that MSTR said that they will face full liquidation if Bitcoin goes down to something like $8,000 or $9,000. I don't believe that. And I think it's a much higher price than that. And the fact that they've had to sell off some of their Bitcoin holdings to make debenture and preferred dividend payments is not a good sign. Mubarak says, hey, bro, what do you think about Uber after buying Delivery Hero? Uber's interesting now. I know that there's some rumblings about Uber buying Grab as well. Could be an interesting play. I'd have to look closely at Uber and see how they're going to finance that transaction. Do you know SLNH? Interesting company, and I'm up big today. No, but we can go look. Soluna Holdings. Who are these guys? Oh, great. Another micro cap. I should probably just stop bothering to try and pronounce that so correctly. Crypto mining, data center housing, high performance compute. And they're in Albany, New York, funnily enough, which is where data centers are going to get a lot harder to be built. Yeah, not exciting, to be honest. Really crowded space. These guys are a small fish in a very big pond. Probably will avoid them. Do you believe in neoclouds? I believe that there will be winners in the neocloud space, but there will probably be more losers than winners. And that's because if you were a Bitcoin miner and you decided to take your NVIDIA GPUs and rent them out to Anthropic or whoever wanted them, that's fine. Or Meta or whoever else, or whoever wanted them. That's fine, but they're going to get outscaled. Most are going to get outscaled. And most are basically, most neoclouds, like CoreWeave in my opinion, they're basically a bridge. They're a stopgap for Meta. And when Meta's full capacity gets online and when they have all the compute that they need, which, by the way, some people there have been questions on whether or not they need everything they said they're going to build. Then these guys aren't needed. They're not as needed as they originally said they were. Oracle right now, time to buy. Alex, I'm avoiding Oracle. I mean, the S&P debt downgrade and the serious concerns about the OpenAI RPO commitments are a problem. No, I don't think it's time to buy Oracle, to be honest. I need to do more homework, but I'm and too much debt. Yeah, it's a little concerning. What I think Larry Ellison bit off more than he can chew, to be honest. We'll see though. Good time to enter NBIS. Yeah, I mean, again, like I just said about the whole neocloud moat, not a fan of it long term, to be honest. The valuation for Nebius relative to others is better. They have better capital structure. I mean, it's still got its own problems. It's expensive in my view. Andrew, didn't get an answer last stream. ASML. Yeah. Do we like ASML? To be honest, no. Or to be honest, sorry. I thought you were answering a different question. Yes. The answer is yes. Interesting company. They've got a lot of really interesting things going on. I mean, the valuation of ASML isn't crazy. That's the main thing I like about it. What I am not a huge fan of is I think that a lot of what is driving up ASML's valuation at the moment is essentially what their future unearned revenue looks like. So I think it could be there could be a good reason to enter or a good reason to buy their stock. But as far as getting it right now, I'd certainly want to do more homework on it, and get a better understanding of what their growth story looks like and what the real probability is of them succeeding. The good thing is that they have an incredible niche too. That's also something else to like about them. Where do you think NVIDIA's fair value is at? I don't have a target price at the moment for NVIDIA. I need one though. I seriously got to like do the modeling work to get one together. M8, what I will say about ASML is that lithography is always going to be, regardless of whether or not this bubble pops in the future or not, lithography is still going to be a thing. It's an incredibly high barrier to entry, extremely expensive to get it going. Once you do, though, the staying power that's incredibly good. There are a lot of reasons to like ASML. Yeah, I need to do a little bit more homework on them, but it's definitely a solid company. Applied Digital bottoming. I don't know, Katie. Yeah. Here's all, and I showed this earlier, and I'll show it again. This is what I do not like about Applied Digital. The fundamentals are weak. They're in the right space. They're in an exciting space, but their fundamentals are not good. I mean, this is an annual perspective. Here's quarterly. 126 million in revenue in Q1, and they lost almost 100 million. Operating cash flow is not good either. What that tells me is that they don't have a lot of non-cash expenses that they add back to cash flow. Doesn't help. What do you see Take-Two reaching price-wise? My current target price is $285. $285 a share. My view on ASTS and messages, I accidentally pressed send and editing it all from it. Okay, awesome. I'll definitely check that out. Thank you for sending that. I will definitely look at that. Can we look at Stim? Sure. Oop. My God, my keyboard's not working. There we go. Haven't heard of these guys. And Yahoo Finance decided to take a crap again. All right. Off to Barron's we go. Neuronetics Inc. Okay, $2 a share. Micro cap, so $112 million market cap. Commercial medical technology company designing, developing, marketing products, improve quality of life for patients from neurohealth disorders. Okay, sounds like they build and make stuff for Parkinson's patients, maybe. How long have these guys been around for? Let's actually look. Let's pull. Okay, so since maybe before 2021. I'm actually going to just go look at their full profile here. All right, so they've been around since 2003. Gross margin's good. Their operating margin sucks. That's concerning. Net margin is not much worse than operating. Okay. They can pass the acid test. That's good news. Their quick ratio is above 1, well above 1. That's really solid. And if they went bankrupt tomorrow, equity investors wouldn't be totally wiped out. Not bad. But they're still losing money. So they probably have they probably have high overhead, and they probably have really high sales commissions they may have to pay, as well as maybe other G&A. I don't know if they manufacture their stuff, that certainly wouldn't help. Revenues went up quite a bit though. From a quarterly perspective, things are okay-ish. This may be seasonal, Q4 25 to Q1 26. I don't love it, to be honest. Buffalo Soldier Son, I grabbed ASTS at $2.02 a couple years ago. There you go. Nice. Well done. ASML is literally vital for everything they make and everything AI. That's true. I agree. Do you believe in neoclouds but skeptical for this business? There are some neoclouds that I think will be successful. Most I think will fail. I'm not there will be winners in that space, don't get me wrong. But I'm not, as far as a long-term viability of the, for companies that are using a lot of debt, like CoreWeave right now, to scale their operations, I don't see them doing well. Companies like Nebius may make it out okay. IREN might do okay, especially with the whole renewable energy thing they're pushing. What side are we on? This is Barron's. Getting killed on Bloom Energy. Yeah, Bloom, I think the party's over for the most part for Bloom. Oh, jeez. 8% down today. That's rough. Micron is interesting. To be honest, I think we're probably near a support point for Micron. Could be exciting to get into Micron. The fundamentals are there for Micron. That's what I like about them. Do you like Tesla at the current price? No, I don't like any automotive. I don't invest in automotive companies, let alone Tesla. No. Obviously, if somebody got into Tesla a long time ago, say 10 years ago, and I don't know why the hell that's getting all screwed up. They made out like a bandit with their investment into Tesla, but the thing is that's the Elon Musk factor. Intel, so here's kind of my take on Intel. Intel is basically a prehistoric dinosaur that's being brought back to life, and when the news broke that people are serious about turning Intel around and making them a profitable chip maker again, particularly with the foundry business, the market got way too excited about it. It popped up to $140 a share, and now people are, starting to realize how long it's going to take for things to get fixed. This is way too high of a price for Intel. I believe in Intel long term, very long term. I think they can do well for themselves. They may be a household name again. That's going to take a long time though. Thoughts on Webull or Robinhood? To be honest, Joe, I'd have to look. I haven't taken a look at Webull, actually. I don't know. Why are the markets closed? Because of the World Cup? No. Markets close at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard every day. Markets closed an hour and a half ago. They always close at 4 p.m. Sold Intel at 115 after being red in the ears. I was red for a long time in Intel as well. I bought it about $50 a share 4 or 5 years ago and got out at 128, and I said, I'm done. Look at Poet, please. Poet Technologies. Engages in the designing, developing, manufacturing, and sale of optoelectric solutions for the sensing, data, communications, and telecommunications markets. I appreciate the gifts, guys. Thank you, by the way, for everybody who sent a gift. Multi-chip. Okay. Ugh. Did $1 million in business in 2025, and they lost $62 million. That's ugly, to say the least. Quarterly, it doesn't look much better. I'd love to know why people like invest. I mean, so they did 210,000 in revenue back in 2021, and it took them a long time. They finally broke $1 million in revenue in 2025. Yeah, no, I'll pass. No thanks. Some people like to lose money. That's true. Elf Beauty at 8%, and I have it leveraged at 20% today, 200% total. Well, the Vink, I hope you watched my YouTube video on Elf that I posted on Friday, because that was honestly, like, I don't, of course I want to say the stock went up because of my YouTube video, but that's obviously not the case. On my YouTube channel, I put $100 price target on Elf, and it was trading at like 72. I think it closed at 72 a share on Friday, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, about low 70s in that range. It's an interesting business. I think they made a really wise move by acquiring Hailey Bieber's brand. Been in Elf since 50. Yeah, it's a good business. Elliot, I'm sure you were probably in it before they bought Rode, and maybe even Ethereum in 2023. Interesting one. How do we know when institutions start buying before the 13F is released? We don't. View on Palantir, incredible growth, incredible margins, solid business, massively overvalued, and I don't like the leadership. I want to buy stock in Palantir, but not at this price. Yeah, I bought at the bottom a couple weeks ago. Leverage, made $7K. Nice, well done. Thoughts on Google 2030? Probably still going to be around. Probably still going to be a big player. Probably still a good idea to own shares in Google. I bought a Jedi XETR ETF. It's down 20%. Do you know anything about this sector? Astana, I've never heard. XETR. To be honest, haven't heard of it. No problem, KD. You're welcome. ZYBT. Yeah, is this a yeah? Biotech's my weak spot, guys. Understanding the technology behind biotech, and they're down massively after market. I don't know what the hell happened. Oh, they're taking profits. What's going on? Up $7 a share today. What happened? What? Wow. Obviously, that's a massive movement. No idea what's going on with these guys. This is probably profit taking, I would imagine. For the Mag 7, which one would you invest in long term if you had to choose one? I'm in between Meta or Amazon. The Vink, I like Amazon more. I would choose Amazon. Jedi is Vanex Space Innovators ETF. XETR is German platform. Got it. Let's see if I can pull it up here on Yahoo. Okay. Here we are. So what are their holdings? They've got Viasat, ASTS, Rocket Lab, Planet Labs, EchoStar, MDA, IRDM, Global Star, Melrose, WNC. These are the top 10 holdings, 63% of their assets. Cool. It sounds like it's basically the DRAM of space ETFs. How's it done? 3-year return's been pretty good. 1-year return's been fantastic. Year to date's a little weaker so far compared to a year ago, but as far as like sector ETFs like this, here's my investing philosophy around it. This is it's a cool ETF, but if I want exposure into this space, I would rather just look at the best performing company or the best of business out of all of these and invest in that. What's the ticker again? Jedi. It's literally Jedi.L. I want to get into Take-Two, but it's at 238 right now. Do you suggest waiting for a better entry? No, I like 238. I think is a great entry. I'm into Take-Two before and after 238. I think it's a good spot to be. My largest holding right now it's Applied Materials, AMAT. I need to draw that position down though. Thoughts on Applied Digital? I don't like how much they're losing money. Not a fan, to be honest. What do you think of Micron? The fundamentals are there for Micron. So people are. I remember like 3 weeks ago, people were asking like, "Oh, when's Micron going to get to 1,800 a share? And then at the end of last week is like, can we see 600 a share on Micron? Like, what's it going to be? This is a fun one to watch. Obviously, an incredible business. The fundamentals are there. This could be a great entry point. It's like I really need to double and triple check my homework to see if this is a good entry point. If I want to get more exposure in this space, I'd probably pick Micron, to be honest. It's a solid company. Their margins are unbelievable. Yeah, no, there's no arguing with it. I mean, they walk the walk, they talk the talk, and they walk the walk. They're like, to be honest, they're basically like the NVIDIA of the semiconductor space, in my view. They've done incredibly well. So my average is $8.50 a share. Pretty happy with that entry. It's not bad, Rob. Yeah, and you could make a very strong bull case as to why it could recover to above $1,000 a share soon. Thoughts on John Deere, Braden? I'd have to check it out. I don't know. Don't have thoughts on John Deere. I don't know enough about their business. If they're anything like Caterpillar, though, if John Deere's anything like Cat, could be a really good one. Because I would imagine John Deere makes most of its money by either financing the sale of its equipment or direct to dealership type stuff. And I know it's a good business practice, but it pisses their customers off that they're like going to like a certified John Deere dealer is like extra expensive or something like that. I'd have to know more about that, but if it's like Caterpillar, it could be a good one. AMD or NVIDIA? I'd pick NVIDIA. ServiceNow's a hold. My view on ServiceNow, its fair value is between 90 and 95 a share. Bloody love John Deere, top-notch equipment. I would imagine so. Could be a solid company. Could be a solid pick. Thoughts on Intuit? To be honest, I need to Intuit and Adobe are kind of on my list of like, hey, you need to learn more about these guys. To be honest, it feels a little bit like a value trap. I know that they've got some really solid products and services, though, but it feels a little bit of like a value trap. I could be wrong, though. I need to do more homework on them. How you feel about Jersey Mike's? Joey, we're going to check out the IPO when they file in a couple days here. So anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a stream. Been live for almost an hour and a half now, so really appreciate everyone joining this afternoon. Had a ton of fun talking with you guys. I always love exchanging ideas with everybody on my live streams. And also really love people who, provide their well-thought-out investment theses for whatever they choose to be in. Someone sent me a DM earlier of why they think I'm wrong on ASTS, so I'll definitely be reading that. So love seeing stuff like that. Really love talking with everybody about stocks that they like to see, and I also, love shooting from the hip with you guys and giving you my thoughts on, what's out there, what's good. And I will also continue posting long-form deep dive content on my YouTube channel. So if any of the if I miss your request today, I apologize. But if I did, and you're not satisfied with my answer because it wasn't in-depth enough, then if you want my real in-depth answers to go really look at what I think of a company, go to my YouTube channel. That's where I have all the deep dives on companies like Nike. I've done like Nike. I've done Elf Beauty. I've done CoreWeave. I've done Waste Management. I've done Palantir. I've done Take-Two Interactive. I've done Reddit. I've done a lot so far, and a lot more to do. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. Pierre, I'm sorry. Sorry you missed the train today. I'll be live tomorrow, though, guys. I'll be live tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day during the week. So make sure you hit the follow button if you haven't already. And that way you can participate tomorrow. What about Amazon? Ariel, I think it's a good one. I like Amazon. All right, I got to run, but everyone have a great evening, and we'll talk tomorrow. We'll see y'all. increase.